Susan Carland hits back at rogue senator with a witty Instagram post. Susan Carland has hit back at controversial Senator Fraser Anning with a witty Instagram post where she appears holding up a packet of Allen's jelly beans. Ms. Carland uploaded the image on Wednesday afternoon, hours after Senator Anning had compared Muslim migrants to poisoned jelly beans. She said his comments sounded like the senator had considered eating Muslims and asked him to please don't eat us. In the caption accompanying the photo, Ms. Carland quoted the comments Senator Anning made on Sydney Talkback Radio, which she said came after quite a maiden speech against non-white migration. To Senator Fanning, sick, 1, sounds like you've considered eating Muslims. Please don't eat us. 2, multiculturalism is colorful and awesome, just like these jelly beans. So I'm popping these in the mail for you, Ms. Carland wrote. Ms. Carland said of the packet of lollies she was holding up, and B, these certainly aren't poisoned but they are whole. Senator Anning had likened accepting Muslim immigrants to poisonous jelly beans while speaking to radio station 2 GB. If you can tell me which ones, Muslims, are not going to cause us harm then fine, that'd be great, he told broadcaster Alan Jones. Unfortunately, if you have a jar of jelly beans and 3 of them are poison, you're not going to try any of them. Senator Anning earlier defended his controversial maiden speech in which he attacked Muslim migrants and called for a plebiscite on immigration. Addressing the outrage over his use of the Nazi term final solution, the Qatar's Australia Party senator said it was taken out of context by the thought police. Senator Anning said on Wednesday morning he simply wanted the Australian people to be able to decide what kind of immigrants the country accepts. All I'm calling for is a plebiscite and a vote for the Australian people to see who they want to come into the country, the Queensland senator told the Today Show. In his maiden speech, Senator Anning said the final solution to the immigration problem is of course a popular vote. The term final solution was used by Nazi officials in a document which detailed plans to wipe out the Jewish population of Europe, resulting in a genocide. Senator Anning denied making a deliberate reference to Nazi Germany, but refused to apologize for his choice of words. If people want to take it out of context, that's entirely up to them. It was never meant to denigrate the Jewish community, he said. Senator Anning also stood by his claims the majority of Muslim immigrants do not work and are on welfare and overrepresented in criminal activity. When asked why he had singled out Muslim immigrants in the speech, Senator Anning said it was because they mean us harm. Senator Anning said he agreed the vast majority of Muslim were hard-working and law-abiding, but claimed a small minority want to kill us. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, Australia is the most successful multicultural society in the world built on a foundation of mutual respect. We reject and condemn racism in any form. Opposition Leader Bill Shorten, there is no place in the Parliament for these outdated and racist views. Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton, I say to people all the time, who say to me we should stop Muslim migration, or we should stop people coming into our country. Intellectually, it is incompatible to say that you can have a migration program where we think every person from a particular race or religion is bad or good. Minister for Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs Alan Tudge, Fraser Anning's comments on immigration do not reflect the views of the government nor the views of fair-minded Australians. We will always maintain a non-discriminatory immigration program. Greens leader Richard Di Natale, Fraser Anning's vile comments in the Senate today were absolutely beyond the pale, and if he has a shred of decency, he will immediately apologize. Australia was forced to confront the fact that there are individuals who will seek to exploit questions of race, ethnicity and religion for base political motives. Minister of the Environment and Energy Josh Frydenberg, these comments by a member of the Australian Parliament were ignorant and insensitive, they were hurtful and they were divisive. I call on Fraser Anning not only to apologize, but also to go and visit a Holocaust museum, and to hear firsthand from the survivors how the pain is still raw, and to see the devastation and destruction caused by the Nazi war machine. Labour MP Peter Carland, we have a responsibility as political leaders to call it out and fight against what is effectively a fascist view of the world, which is judging people based on their race or their ethnicity or faith. Independent Senator Darren Hinch, Mr. Hinch described the speech as excruciating and Pauline Hanson on steroids. There was hardly a group of Australians he did not offend unless you were very close to being a member of the Ku Klux Klan. Shadow Multicultural Minister Tony Burke, Mr. Inning, has decided to invoke the term final solution. Another speech belittling Australians, another speech dividing the nation, another speech wanting to incite debate. There has to be a point when this parliament says enough, and if we haven't reached that point tonight, then for some of us there is apparently no limit at all. Labour Senator Penny Wong, think of what might be happening in some of the schoolyards in Australia today. Those of us who have been on the receiving end of racism know what it feels like. And know what leaders say matters. Labour MP Graham Purrett, this is a myopic redneck reaching out from another time to another people. Modern Australia has moved on. Liberal Democrat Senator David Lingem, it is an overreaction to a term which has multiple meanings. Nobody owns the term final solution. If you are a little snowflake, you can go rushing around, taking offense at all kinds of things. Source, app, ABC News. I don't want those people in this country. I think the vast majority of Australians agree with me. No one wants to put it to a vote, Senator Inning said. The speech to Parliament was widely condemned by politicians from both major parties, and the Greens. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull retweeted a statement from Alan Tudge, Minister for Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs. Fraser Anning's comments on immigration do not reflect the views of the government nor the views of fair-minded Australians, Mr. Tudge said. We will always maintain a non-discriminatory immigration program. Well said, Alan, Mr. Turnbull wrote in response. Australia is the most successful multicultural society in the world, built on a foundation of mutual respect. We reject and condemn racism in any form. Greens leader Richard Di Natale slammed Mr. Inning's speech as racist and bigoted and demanded he apologize for using the term final solution. Fraser Anning's vile comments in the Senate today were absolutely beyond the pale, and if he has a shred of decency, he will immediately apologize, Senator Di Natale said. After his speech was attacked by Senator Di Natale and senior Labour frontbenchers Tony Burke and Chris Bowen, Senator Inning released a statement dismissing their criticism. Some in the media and left-wing politicians are simply afraid of the Australian people having a say on who comes here, Senator Inning said. As I called for a plebiscite on the immigration mix, this baseless and ridiculous criticism is simply an effort to play the man and not the ball. Senator Inning said it was ironic that he was being criticized by politicians from Labour and the Greens who had voted against his pro-Israel proposals in the past. They are the same people who refused to support my efforts to stop Australia funding the Palestinian Authority, who financed terrorist attacks against innocent Israeli women and children, he said. Senator Inning's maiden speech was also criticized for defending the White Australia policy, and for repeated attacks on Muslim immigrants. Calling for an end to Muslim immigration and advocating a program that favors European Christian values, Senator Inning claimed a majority of Australian Muslims live on welfare and do not work. While all Muslims are not terrorists, certainly all terrorists these days are Muslims, Senator Inning said. So why would anyone want to bring more of them here? His proposed plebiscite would allow people to decide whether they want wholesale non-English speaking immigrants from the Third World, he said. Senator Inning said Australia was entitled to insist migrants were predominantly of European Christian composition. He also called for the government to ban all welfare payments to migrants in the first 5 years of living in Australia, labeling many asylum seekers as welfare seekers. Ethnocultural diversity, which is known to undermine social cohesion, has been allowed to rise to dangerous levels in many suburbs, Senator Inning said. In direct response, self-segregation, including white flight from poorer inner urban areas, has become the norm. Senator Inning also warned of a growing threat from China and called for government spending cuts. He suggested building more coal-fired power plants, supporting agriculture, and called for culture to be taken back from left-wing extremists. Opposition leader Bill Shorten responded to the speech by saying he will move a motion praising the dismantling of the White Australia policy. Mr. Shorten's motion will recognize bipartisan support for the former Holt government's moves to end the policy, and the resulting national and international benefits to the country.